Welcome back to the Weekend Warriors show, where we're celebrating the life of L7 bassist Jennifer Finch, who was taken from us way too soon, with a brand new intro that includes a few new movies that have made their way into my top 10 this year. I hope you figured out that MO because some of you might hear that song, see the movie posters, and just assume that maybe I don't like these movies. But no, these are actually my favorite movies of the year so far. That's why they're included in the intro. So, the song is also quite appropriate because the last few weeks have been rife, full of people just pissing me off the point where it felt necessary for another Ed Doom. But no, I'll spare you this time. Let's just say the amount of extra work I've had to put in to get to see movies, the cover in a weekly column, has gotten a little tiring over the last couple weeks. Hopefully things will improve going to the last month of the summer. But there are also a lot of movies this next couple weeks, and I just know that I won't be able to cover everything. So we'll see how it goes. I'm generally going to skip the weekend recap today because I'm recording this on Saturday. And it's obvious that Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is doing much better in its second weekend than anyone could have expected, including myself, possibly over 80 million. People just seem to like this movie way more than I did, so what can I do or say? Anyway, the only other significant note is that Bleecker Street's Hadestown the Musical did very well over its first weekend. I'm probably projecting about 9 to 10 million maybe. So it'll be interesting to see if it extends its run, but it has Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out on Thursday, so it might not have much room to expand or stay in theaters for much longer. We'll see. Anyway, let's get to this weekend's main event, which is Sony and Marvel Studios' Spider-Man Brand New Day, which reunites Tom Holland and Zendaya from Christopher Nolan's recent The Odyssey. Spoiler, they don't have any scenes together, but also brings others from the MCU like Jon Bernthal's Punisher and Mark Ruffalo's Hulk into the mix. So let's check out the most recent trailer.
What is happening to me?
Did you miss me, Spidey?
I'm losing my mind. I am totally out of control. I gotta fix whatever this is right now.
Final semester MIT.
Dad, who do you think is actually watching these?
Maybe someone.
Okay, well, bye, someone.
What the? Dr. Banner, you found a way to suppress mutating DNA, right?
If you see me with this stuff, run.
So could you get rid of the bad aspects but keep the good?
How would you decide what parts of nature are good or bad?
Well, sorry about that.
You're not one of my students, are you?
It appears we're faced with a threat we can't control. One we can't even see. You're the only one who's immune to it. You're the only one who can sense it.
And what do you think they're looking for?
Oh, see, you stumbled across my board. I'm not one of those weirdos, I swear.
He's a little weird. I'm MJ.
You two don't know each other?
It's been 4.5 years since Spider-Man No Way Home, the third movie in the Marvel Sony series that starred Tom Holland as a title character, with Zendaya and Jacob Batalon as his good friends MJ and Ned. That movie opened with $260 million in the weekend ahead of Christmas 2021. A big part of that movie's success was bringing back the two previous Spider-Men, played by Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, as well as many of their villains, including Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin and Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. The movie also co-starred Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, and it continued to incorporate multiverses into the MCU, which had become a large part of it with the Loki series, and that continued into the next year's Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness the following year. No Way Home went on to gross $814.8 million domestic, which is actually the third highest grossing movie ever in the history of the box office. It also made $1.9 billion worldwide, so yeah, an enormous blockbuster for Sony that was guaranteed to get a sequel eventually. Brand New Day is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, an indie filmmaker who jumped into the MCU with 2021's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. That movie introduced Simu Liu as Marvel's martial arts expert, and it was a movie that opened with $75.4 million just months before Spider-Man No Way Home opened. That made $224.5 million domestically and $207.6 million overseas, which wasn't bad considering there was only the second Marvel movie released post-COVID. It also did better than the Scarlett Johansson Black Widow movie that opened a few months earlier. Spider-Man Brand New Day brings the MCU's spin-off franchise back to the summer, although it's being released in late July rather than the late June, early July of the previous two Tom Holland movies, Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. The former of those opened with $117 million, while the latter opened with $92.6 million, although that weekend was after already making the same amount opening on a Tuesday before the 4th of July. Both movies grossed over $330 million domestic, and that was after Andrew Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man in 2012 and its 2014 sequel didn't even get to $300 million like all three of the Sam Raimi movies. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 just barely crossed the $200 million mark as is. As with the last few Spider-Man movies, various MCU characters and actors are showing up in Brand New Day. Most notably, John Bernthal's The Punisher, who played a large part in the Netflix Marvel series universe, having 2 seasons of his own series, as well as appearing in the recent Daredevil Born Again series. Bernthal's Punisher even got his own special, Punisher One Last Kill, recently, so Bernthal is clearly the most popular Punisher yet. He also has a long history with Tom Holland, the two of them having appeared in the historical period movie Pilgrimage way back in 2017, even before the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. More recently, the two of them appeared together in another historical movie you may have heard of, which is Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which is doing huge business. So, yeah, both Tom Holland, Zendaya, and John Bernthal all go from The Odyssey 2 weeks ago to Spider-Man Brand New Day. That's great. The Punisher has always played a large part in Spider-Man comics, having been introduced way back in The Amazing Spider-Man number 127 in 1974. Also playing a large role in Brave New World is Mark Ruffalo as Dr. Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk, who has yet to get his own solo movie, but who has played a large part in the MCU since being introduced in 2012 as The Avengers. Most notably, Ruffalo's Hulk also appeared in 2017's Thor Ragnarok, which opened solid with $122 million and goes $350 million domestic. So far, the Hulk has appeared in all 4 Avengers movies, although he's not slated for Avengers Doomsday in December. He's also appeared in a few episodes of She-Hulk Attorney at Law on Disney+, and made a cameo in the end credits of Clinton's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, although that scene is yet to be followed up on, so I don't understand how these end credit scenes just are made without follow-up. But anyway, that's the way it is. Some of the villains shown in the trailer include the Scorpion, Boomerang, and Ramrod. I also thought the movie would feature Tombstone and Mr. Negative, although I don't think I've heard of anyone playing the latter, so that might be happening. As far as I can tell, none of the villains in Brand New Day are played by known stars, in the same way as having Michael Keaton as the Vulture or Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. That definitely could be a problem, since there might not be nearly as much excitement when you don't have these big actors playing the villains opposite Tom Holland. Brand New Day also stars Sadie Sink as a character that's yet to be named, although it's rumored to be Jean Grey of the X-Men. I'm actually recording this before the Marvel panel at Comic-Con on Saturday night, so who knows? She might be there as Jean Grey. She might not be. I don't know. They might not want to spoil the movie even before film critics see it on Monday night, but who knows? We have plenty of other Spider-Man movies for comparison to this, but we can also compare this to 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine, which opened in late July to $211.4 million. It was one of the biggest movies of that year with $636 million gross domestically. One big difference is that Deadpool and Wolverine was able to get all the IMAX and premium screens, where Brand New Day is competing with the Odyssey for the IMAX at least. That's a big deal because those premium tickets add a lot to movies' box office. Spider-Man screenings start as early as noon on Thursday, so it's essentially getting an almost entirely full day that will be merged into Friday. No Way Home made $50 million in previews, and then that was rolled into $120 million Friday. So that's what we need to use for comparison. I'm seeing Brand New Day on Monday night. I generally expect reviews to be positive when they roll out on Tuesday morning, although I'm going to struggle to turn a review around by the embargo on Tuesday morning because I'll be getting home at like 10 o'clock, just like I did for Disclosure Day. So not my favorite way to review movies. I have to assume this was intentional on Sony's part. Maybe more due to spoilers than because the movie is bad, but by the time you watch this, hopefully my review will have been posted already. You'll be seeing other reviews. You'll be seeing other reactions. They will all be happening between 1 a.m. and 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Some people are saying that ticket sales and tracking are pointing to Brand New Day opening even bigger than No Way Home. I've seen one prediction saying it might open close to 300 million this weekend, which seems absolutely insane. And I have to say this, and pardon the French farmer in me, but that's hogwash. There are many reasons why I think it'll probably open closer to somewhere between 220 to 230 million. Let me explain. The new Spider-Man movie is not getting nearly as many premium screenings as I mentioned, no IMAX, since Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is still doing very well. Plus, there's a lot more competition at theaters than there was when No Way Home opened. Although theaters will probably dump movies that have been playing for over a month, like Toy Story 5, these straight-up PG family films are still bringing in business that's direct competition for families. So, Spider-Man is not going to be able to get every single screen just like No Way Home did. And I think that will be necessary for a 250 million plus opening. Although Tom Holland's Spider-Man is still very popular, as is Zendaya, making Brand New Day a fairly 4-quadrant movie, superhero movies in general have taken a downturn since 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine. Still, I think this has great potential for decent legs throughout August, and that might get it close to 500 million domestic, or maybe even more. Also quickly mentioned that Magnolia Pictures is releasing Greg Araki's new comedy, I Want Your Sex, starring Olivia Wilde and Cooper Hoffman, nationwide into about 750 theaters. I've seen the movie, I liked it, I'll write more about it in the print edition, including my review. But I'm not going to go out on a limb by saying it might have any effect on Spider-Man Brand New Day whatsoever. In fact, it might not make even as much as the first screenings of Spider-Man Brand New Day make on Thursday. Anyway, I'll be reviewing I Want Your Sex in the print edition. Next week it's back to all print, probably for the rest of August and maybe into September, but I'll leave off this week's Weekend Warrior show with a full video for L7's shit list, featuring someone who will definitely be missed, and that's bassist Jennifer Finch.